Hey, it's Sam, and I'm here in lovely Kauai talking about the disposition of Venus for the next couple of months. It's a great time to be really thinking about getting your relationship with Venus a lot more in alignment for the next couple months. Venus just went into Capricorn. It's been in Capricorn for a few days, and it's going to then go into Aquarius, and then it's going to go into Pisces. Now, this is the section of the zodiac where Venus really does the best. And I say this because Venus is good friends with the ruler of Aquarius and with the ruler of Capricorn. That would be Saturn. And the reason this works out this way is because they both share a lot in common, actually. Venus is the sign, Venus rules a sign where Saturn is exalted. And they both really benefit from the same kind of energy. Venus, that's one of the chickens of Kauai, by the way. If you've never been to Kauai, there's a lot of chickens here. Roosters wake you up early in the morning. Anyway, so Venus is very much about taking things slow and being practical as far as with the things that she rules, mainly life's pleasures and joys and things that make us happy. That includes, of course, things like romantic relationships and all of our involvements with other people. It's best that we take those things slowly, that we're practical and careful about them, which has to do with earth signs. It's good that we, actually put forth a tangible effort and have tangible results, like, actually giving someone something is a nice way to show our appreciation, actually doing something for them, making them food, finding out what they like. Those things go really far in a relationship, for instance. And also, Venus and Saturn both do well in air signs. Saturn is exalted in an air sign. In fact, the air sign that's ruled by Venus, that would be Libra. Air is about flexibility, it's about neutrality, it's about communication, evenness, and ways of relating with others that has less to do with passion and emotion. Passion being fire and emotion being water. Venus and Saturn, or I should say neither Venus nor Saturn, do so well in fire or water signs. Now, of course, you're going to say, well, Venus is exalted in Pisces. I'm going to get to that. But in a general sense, Venus and Saturn, neither of them do so well in fire or water signs because of this quality of passion and individuality, which has to do with fire, and excessive emotion, which has to do with water. Now, let's use the example of a relationship, for instance. Venus, as it relates to, let's say being in a fire sign, is going to put a lot of emphasis on our own individual desires being fulfilled, for instance. Venus is a Rajasic sign, and it's about sharing. It's about mutual desire, mutual affection, mutual values, honoring things, honoring two people or any situation with equality. And again, fire is about individuality, individual clarity. Those fiery planets do well there. Mars, Jupiter, the Sun, they're about clarifying our individuality. And they become very generous once we do that. But Venus is not about that. Venus is about experiencing pleasure and happiness and joy. And this is something that we need to share with others. When it's in a water sign, for instance, especially Scorpio and Cancer, and also Pisces, it becomes very emotional. Like, for instance, we wind up falling in love, or we wind up, let's say, having sexual relations because we want to find love there. And we wind up falling in love with everyone we have sexual relations with, which, by the way, is not a bad thing, especially if we take it slow and we're lighthearted. We should only be having sexual relations with people that we love. But with Venus, often in the water signs, we're trying to find love in things like desire, in things like sex, in things like pleasure. We kind of fall in love with it, especially in Cancer and Scorpio, which are much more individual about it. Cancer is a sign of motherhood and nurturing, and Scorpio is a sign of insecurities and strengthening our vulnerabilities and the deep emotional attachments that we become afraid of losing. The reason Venus is exalted in Pisces is because it's much more metaphysical, much more universal. It's not so much the personal water, it's much more the abstract metaphysical waters. And this is why Venus can be exalted in Pisces, but you need to be careful about exalted planets, especially exalted Venus. It has a very high promise, a very high possibility, but also it's very active toward unrealistic standards of beauty, unrealistic standards of, pleasure and happiness. And this unrealistic standard is what elevates Venus beyond just the personal expression or the personal satisfaction. So what I mean to say is, and I tell my students this over and over again, you need to be really careful about exalted planets and expecting that they're going to always give like good results. Exalted planets are wild cards, and they have a very high standard. They're easy to confuse, they're easy to misunderstand, and they tend to transform things, especially Venus. Of all the exalted planets, Venus is really tricky because, and also Mars, because, I'll just stick with Venus though, because as I said, Venus is exalted in a sign, Pisces, that's in conjunct the sign she rules. Pisces is the 11th sign from Taurus and the 6th sign from Libra. So when Venus is literally, let's say, exalted, it elevates our desires to a high metaphysical level, something that can't be really satisfied here on Earth. So this is why the highest potential of Venus can be seen in Pisces, but it's not something of this Earth. So if you're ready to connect with something not of this Earth and pleasures and happiness beyond this Earth, that's what Venus in Pisces is about. And of course it goes through there every year. And it's about to happen now. So for the next couple months, between now and early March, Venus is going to be in Capricorn, where it's much more practical and focused and ready to be devotional in the sake of love and, express those intentions and that attention with practical things, in practical ways through, taking care of another person and being loyal and devoted and, sticking with it, all those qualities of Saturn. Again, this is why Saturn influence on Venus, Venus influence on Saturn is very good, because we're supposed to make a commitment to our partners, we're supposed to take it slow, we're supposed to appreciate what they give us. All of these things can be seen when Venus goes through Capricorn. And when Venus goes through Aquarius, it actually elevates it a little bit more and takes it out of the sort of personal sphere into something a little more social. So this would show where you and your partners can maybe connect with common values and common themes, social themes, spiritual themes in your spiritual communities and things like that. Be more of service so that it's not just about you and someone else trying to make each other happy, which eventually runs its course. And so as Aquarius turns into Pisces, Aquarius is our service to the world and our relationship with the world and making peace with the ups and downs and the wins and losses of this world so that we can let go of it and surrender into the sort of metaphysical beyond of Pisces. So Venus then goes exalted in Pisces, where, as I say, the standard of beauty and of desire and pleasure is very high. So we can really see this section of the zodiac as a kind of referendum on Venus. And most of our life revolves around Venus stuff. We live so much of our life around Venus trying to get more of the good Venus stuff. Nice people, things that make us happy. First we need to make a commitment to those things, tangible, stay with it, which is Capricorn. Then we can elevate it to something maybe more social, less personal. And then we can actually even let go and have our desires be something that's not just about our personal experience, but something that's metaphysical, something that's transcendent. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But again, it's a very high standard. It often shows a disappointment with the things of the world. So ponder this, share this with others, leave some comments, and thanks a lot. From beautiful Kauai.